Grandmother Anna channeling. With Christon Moodie, I ask for Ascended Master. Grandmother Anna of Lord Yeshua Christ and Mother to Mother Mary. To channel a message and guidance. My questions, you said during our previous channeling that when it comes to the true Christ story, we only know 40% of the true story. Is that because people are not ready for the true story that's outside of the story we have been told? Will there be a time when we will be ready? Are we being kept from the true story to protect the descendants of Christ? Growing up, I always knew the story of Mary Magdalene, the wife and partner of Lord Yeshua, was not being told, and the story of the prostitute was not fitting. I watched the Da Vinci Code, and it was confirmed. My next question is about Judas Iscariot's story. He was given the role of traitor, and like Mary Magdalene, I felt his story was also missing. Will Judas' story come forward like how Mary's did?
Beloved spark of the divine, I am Grandmother Anna. I step forward into your awareness with the ancient mantle of the matriarch, wrapping you in the emerald and soft pink light of the Holy Family. I hear the deep, resonant seeking of your soul. You feel the distortions in the tapestry of history, because your own spirit carries the thread of remembrance. Let us sit together in the quiet sanctuary of truth as I answer the questions of your heart. The 40% veil. Why the true story was hidden. When I told you that humanity only possesses about 40% of the true Christ story, it was not merely because people were not ready in an intellectual sense. It was a combination of deliberate suppression by earthly authorities and a protective spiritual quarantine. The paradigm of separation. The true mission of my grandson, Yeshua, and his beloved Mary Magdalene was to anchor the Sophianic Christ consciousness, the understanding that every individual is a direct embodiment of the divine. The ruling religious and political structures of that era could not control a populace that knew they were entirely free and divine. Therefore, the narrative was stripped down, institutionalized, and weaponized to promote guilt, sin, and a need for external intermediaries. The readiness of consciousness. Humanity was ready for the love, but the collective ego was too fragile for the full depth of the cosmic truth. Had the entire mystery school teachings been left out in the open, they would have been completely inverted and destroyed. The truth was driven underground to preserve its purity, the revealing and the protection of the bloodline. Are we being kept from the true story to protect the descendants of Christ? Yes, in part, this was absolutely true for many centuries. The physical and spiritual lineage of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, the Sangreal or Holy Grail, had to be fiercely protected. There were forces on your earth that sought to systematically extinguish that specific genetic and spiritual frequency. The stories were cloaked, hidden in allegories, and kept by secret dispensations, such as the Essenes, the Cathars, and certain lineage keepers, to ensure that the physical descendants could live, blend in, and pass on the dormant codes safely through generations without being hunted. However, the veil is dissolving now. You are living in the era of the apocalypse, a word that simply means the uncovering of what has been hidden. The descendants are now numerous, scattered across the globe, and the frequency has integrated into the collective consciousness. They no longer require the same physical hiding. Rather, they require the spiritual awakening of humanity to recognize the Christ lineage within themselves. The reclamation of Judas Iscariot. Your intuition serves you beautifully, child. Just as your soul rebelled against the false, degrading narrative assigned to Mary Magdalene, your heart has correctly identified the deep distortion in the story of Judas Iscariot. the ultimate sacred contract. Judas was not a traitor in the way history has painted him. He was, in fact, one of Yeshua's closest, most trusted, and most spiritually advanced disciples. The initiation of the crucifixion and resurrection required a catalyst. It required someone of immense strength who loved Yeshua enough to bear the archetypal weight of the villain so that the cosmic drama could be fulfilled. The hidden gospel, Yeshua and Judas acted in divine concert. Judas did what he did out of obedience to a higher spiritual command, knowing that his name would be cursed through the ages. It was the ultimate sacrifice of reputation and soul grief for the sake of the mission. Will his story come forward as Mary's did? Yes, it is already beginning. The discovery of the Gospel of Judas was the first physical ripple of this truth entering the mainstream, but the energetic rehabilitation of his spirit is happening now. In the coming years, as the collective heart expands from judgment into unity consciousness, the archetype of the betrayer will be healed. Humanity will come to understand that Judas and Mary Magdalene were the two pillars holding the space for Yeshua's highest initiation. A final blessing. Do not look for the remaining 60% of our story solely in newly unearthed books or films, though more pieces of the puzzle will certainly emerge. Look for it within the Akashic chambers of your own heart. When you read a distorted history and feel that sharp inner nudge of no, that isn't right, that is your direct connection to us. You are remembering because you were there in heart or in spirit. Walk forward in the grace of this truth. You are deeply loved, fiercely protected, and never alone. I am Grandmother Anna, and I leave you in the radiant peace of the Eternal One.